in 5.
Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show about monks in the world of Warcraft.
We'll soon know the release date. Mistweavers now have a use for mastery, and Brewmasters are getting baked. This is Monk Meditation, episode 28.
Here's your host, Chai T.
Welcome back, everyone, to Monk Meditation, the show all about monks in the world of Warcraft. I'm joined today by 3 wonderful monks of different persuasions, and we are going to talk about all sorts of things tonight, including patch notes, Brewmaster stats, Draenor perks, beta patches, you name it, let's do it. Let's go first to Le Blue. How you doing, man?
Had a great week. Got some stuff done, and then real life came and kicked me in the nuts. So I've been having an interesting week.
Oh, we'll learn more about that shortly. Now,
Yeah.
Yuki, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm pretty much in the same boat as LeBlue. I've been raiding, and then life kicked me in the butt, literally. A lot of pain, but hanging in there. Yeah, you know, wow stuff.
Wow stuff. All right, and Guanshu, how you doing, man? What is that behind your shoulder there?
I'm just representing it equally for everyone.
All right.
So that way people know we're not biased. Now, I'm very
biased.
excited because I finally figured out my BlizzCon question that I'm going to ask.
Ooh.
And it's going to be the one that wastes everybody's time because that's what always happened to me when I try to get up and ask questions. It's going to be, when are we going to get our anthropomorphic turtles in World of Warcraft? That's what I want now. And then everyone's going to get mad at me because I wasted time. I'm like, good.
I
Yep.
hate you. You know how long I sat in that line getting fed questions from people like Suplift and a couple other monks going, "You need to ask this question right now. Go stand in line. Why aren't you in line right now? You should be in line." So, yeah.
Now
And
I
that's
see
all-
why you're Horde.
It's all because that guy at PAX East asked the question that's been asked 4 times since Heroes of the Storm got released, was, are we going to see people from other Blizzard properties like Blackthorn and the Lost Vikings? He brought this on you all. Him alone.
Right. Okay, well, let's check in with tonight's host on how WoW is now in...
Storm, Earth,
And fire!
Now, Yuki, how's it going, man?
Is my mic on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, your mic is on.
All right. Pretty good. We one-shot all the heroic bosses until shamans, I believe. I think Galacrus we wiped once because of a glitch, but that really doesn't count. Heroic shamans gave us some problems. For some reason, it was hitting our off-tank really, really, really hard, which is weird because he never gets hit that hard. He normally stays on the bottom. He's a prot pally and very, very well geared. So we were having problems with that, and then eventually we downed the shamans. Yep. Thursday I had to miss because of medical issues, but they pretty much had a meeting for, WAD preparations and stuff, what we're going to do with 6.0 and Warlords. So we're thinking about turning into a mythic team, and we've been recruiting, and so far so good. Stayed up late last night watching PvP videos about Mistweavers, and I am stoked, super, super stoked about
Is that
going in
beta
there.
or live?
No, live.
Yeah.
Yes,
I-
I am
that's-
super stoked. Even though I'm
That's-
gonna get raped in my crappy gear, I'm super stoked.
That is how I,
got my 100
PvP.
ones, I'm done.
I PvP as a Mistweaver because it is a lot of fun, especially in the battlegrounds. Because you are the perfect escorter with like Tiger's Lust, Ring of Peace. You make sure whoever's carrying that flag never gets caught, which is great.
Yeah, after
Pro
watching
tip,
the videos, I never
be
noticed
creative.
how OP the the combination of Tiger's Lust and Healing Spheres are.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
As someone who's done 100 wins in threes as a Mistweaver, I have 2 tips for you. 1, do rated BGs. That's tip number 1. 2, make sure your team comp is better than Mistweaver, Ret Paladin, Arms Warrior. Absolutely terrible team comp. Find a better one. Like get a rogue or something in there.
But yeah,
Alright.
I'm stupid excited about PvPing soon.
Is it me, or did he say he had 3 tips and then gave 2?
I think that was...
No, if you count on my thumb.
All right. Guanshu, how's WoW going for you?
You know, it's been mostly beta practice for me lately. The people are taking breaks from WoW at this point. It's a little dry, honestly.
Yeah.
So beta, I've been had a lot of time kind of playing in the beta compared to what my time spread was before. So really, that's been about it. But it's fun playing Brewmaster, and I started leveling a Brewmaster, and it's pretty awesome. I love it.
Great. All right, Lil Blue.
It's been good. Done with heroic progression again. So we've already gone to 25. There's no other difficulty we need to shift to. So now we can actually go on farm. Thank goodness. Garrosh is dead once again. Haven't gotten too much beta time. I've been very busy with work and doing some other stuff. I did get to test a few of the bosses. I think last week it was. Unfortunately, the group I was with hardened the paint. Their tanks were actually there, and I didn't have a Windwalker spec set up, so I went on my mage, and I may or may not have been playing a mage for beta testing. But that's beside the point. Got to test some bosses and had some fun. But hoping to get some more, hoping to get into all these testing for the next set of bosses. Really am.
Right.
So we'll
Yeah,
see.
and testing is coming up. When was that now, Yuki?
This week, Tuesday, August 12th, and Wednesday, August 13th. On Tuesday, they're going to have one 1:30 Pacific time, and another one at 4 Pacific time. On Wednesday, they're going to have 3 of them. One at 10:30 Pacific time, another one at 1:30 Pacific, and then the third one at 4 Pacific.
All right. Are these heroic or are they mythic?
These are heroic.
Okay, they haven't stepped up
And,
to mythic yet then. Okay.
I put it in the show notes in case you wanted to put it later on for the dojo.
Yeah, I will stick it into the show notes for everybody. So when you download that, you can get it. So let me tell you an epic story about Rolling Thunder.
Uh-oh. 1 sec. All right, I got my lemonade. Let's go.
All right. So we decided instead of continuing on to heroics, what we're going to do is give back to the Airy Peak community, and we're going to reach out to CTR members, and once one person per week, we're just going to say, "Hey, if you've never done normal before, come on in," and we're just going to carry someone all the way through.
What? No, carry me through
not bad.
heroic so I could get the mounts.
Oh
Carry
yeah, like
me.
I could carry anyone through.
Carry me,
heroic.
Chai. Carry me.
And so
My
we
alliance
picked
monk.
we picked a hunter named Irwin, I think it was, and he had done flex before, but he had never done normal. So let me tell you how awesome Rolling Thunder is. We one-shot everything up to Thok, and we did have a wipe on Thok. I decided to switch to Mistweaver to help out on that, and so I switched my Mistweaver gear, got everything going. We did one poll, didn't go too well. Because we were minus our Paladin, we decided because of Diva Aura, it'd be better just to have me back as DPS. So I switched my spec back to Windwalker. Notice how I didn't say switch my equipment back to Windwalker. And we one-shot Thok, we one-shot Siegecrafter, and one-shot Claxy. And then we're right about to pull. We do the pull timer on Garage. I'm like, wait! Why do I have a staff equipped? And yeah, I did like 20k DPS on Thok and 30k DPS on Siegecrafter and 20k
It's because
DPS.
you has more smarts on your gears.
Right.
You has more smarts.
I was able to be very intelligent. I knew what was coming the whole time. I couldn't hit for crap. But so
Using your mind.
yeah, we unfortunately didn't get the garage kill. We got our last poll of the night. We got him down to, it was our first poll of the night, really. We got him down to phase 3, and we just missed an interrupt. But it was sad we couldn't get that kill for him. But if I wouldn't have been an idiot and worn my Mistweaver gear, I'd have gone better.
You know, that's funny. It reminds me of a time back in Wrath of the Lich King when I was healing as a paladin, And what were those? The two like ugly globule things in Ice Crown. I don't remember their names. We started from them one week, and we one-shotted those two and Pewterside with me carrying my fishing pole.
We had a Shadow Priest who wore the cloak, the guild cloak or whatever all the time. But those MCs, that's every time, because how Vengeance works on Garrosh, every time we got the MCs, it was like, She-Burst, Keg Smash, all broken, even the empowered ones. There's one that I'm not there for, and that's the one we'd always wipe to when we wiped, and like, guys, gotta put your big boy pants on. The Brewmasters isn't there to do all the heavy lifting.
Right. So I did get a chance to get into the beta as well. I got into raid testing on the Horde side as a Mistweaver. And so fresh, like I made the character and jumped right in. So I had my macros and that was about it. Didn't really do any reforge, anything like that. And my numbers weren't great, but I felt good. Like I felt like I was able to dodge stuff and get the kills. I forget the name of the guy. It's the guy with.
Did you do the Butcher? Did you do the Butcher?
No, it was
you missed.
Yeah,
oh,
it was the one with the 4 animals in the pens.
The Beast Lord guy.
Yeah, the Beast Lord guy. So I got to do that. We got him. We were like on the 4th one, and I think we were right about to down him. Everything was going fine, and then it ended and kicked us all out. We're like, no. But Mistweaver feels really good in there. The numbers aren't quite there, but it feels good. And so hopefully the numbers will get tuned up. And let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. But first, let's talk about the crazy whirlwind of WoW news in
Dizzying haze.
All right, so Blizzard's going to be showing up at Gamescom this week, starting August 14th through the 17th. So if you are in Germany by any chance, go ahead and stop by and talk to them. Wonderful folks. Lots of events, lots of things going on. It's like a mini BlizzCon. But of note, on the 14th, and if you can't make it to Germany, they're also going to be doing an event in Los Angeles at about, what time was it? It was about 9:30 a.m. Pacific
time.
12:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
Real people time is 12:30.
Right.
So.
Yes. Real people time is 12:30.
So early in the
100%
morning.
real.
So it's I think 9:30 p.m. In Cologne. They're going to be unveiling the Warlords of Draenor cinematic and the announcement of the release date. Yay! So next show we can finally stop speculating. We'll actually have an idea of when it's coming out.
I have a feeling Duke's going to win the bet, though.
I was going to say the best thing about today without Duke here is I can say the Tuesday after the 10-year anniversary, and he can't argue with me.
Right. So let's go ahead and do wild speculation. What days are we saying here?
I'm agreeing with Duke.
Tuesday after BlizzCon.
Tuesday after BlizzCon?
I'm pulling up a calendar right now.
That's what I'm doing.
November 11th.
I was originally thinking, I was being very optimistic on how much they were putting out in the beta. I was going to say August 26th for 6.0 and September 23rd, which would be almost exactly 2 years from Mists of Pandaria. But now that they haven't moved anything in the PTR, they kind of slowed down the last week or so. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, they haven't even released Mythic yet for testing.
They're close. Watcher said they're close, but they haven't.
Right.
And with Mythic will come a crap ton of new
I'm saying September 23rd
Exactly.
for 6.0. And then
For 6.0?
Yeah, and then October, let's see, what is it? 21st? I'm going to say 21st or 28th will be release date.
November 25th.
2 days before Thanksgiving. Thanks, Blizz.
Yes, because people will be home and they can play.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
3
they
weeks
cannot
before
play because they're
December.
with their family.
3 weeks before December, nobody's going to rage about that.
Right.
You know?
No way. It's going to be October the 14th, I think 6.0 is going to drop, which gives us all the time in the world to play. All the world-class raiders are going to go to BlizzCon because Blizzard loves that sort of thing, and then we're going to get back, and on the 11th, they're going to drop it. That's my prediction.
I'm saying that the raid is going to open the week after BlizzCon, but they'll have the leveling before BlizzCon. But still, still for the world first raiders, that's still going to make them think about coming to BlizzCon because that's going to be a time when they could be doing heroic dungeons and stuff like that. So
Getting ults ready.
Duke says Mythic will open November 11th. Release date would be October 14th and 6.0 on September 30th.
Yep.
So we'll see who's closest. We win monk points, I guess.
Yes.
Yay,
I can
monk
put that in
points.
my stack of other monk points.
Yay,
I've
monk
received.
points. All right, now to keep your spirits up while the world changes around you in...
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Uplift. Don't worry, I'm sure it happens to other monks too.
All right, LeBlue, you want to go over some of the Brewmaster tweets that came out?
All right, so we have a couple from our Lord and Savior Celestalon. Not to be
hail
confused with
Celestalon.
our Lord and Savior Cheebrew.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Oh,
Yeah. So we have at AshBrown010. Any thought about monks changing their Celestial Guardian depending on what stance they are in? So Brew get the Ox, not Shuen. As Celestalon replies with, it's something we'd like to do, but would mostly be a cosmetic change, so is low on our priority list at the moment. And then another one at Celestalon. Regarding Brewmasters, their mechanics are solid. It's just numbers, just bumped several things way up for the next build, but still likely weak, which... Yeah.
That's our build that we're on now. They bumped us.
Yes.
Bumped Brewmasters way up.
And they probably have some more. Like if some of you might be following Rignoros, actually, he kind of laid out like what in his view as a world first raider, what the strength of the tanks were. Brewmasters were kind of like towards the end of that, the very bottom of it. They've kind of they've tuned down Death Knights, they've tuned down Druids, and they've kind of brought up Brewmasters. So relatively, they should be closer. But there's still a lot more tuning to be done. But they're definitely tweaking the numbers, if you will. And we'll kind of get in more to that later.
And Blizz, please, that first idea with having the different statues, that would be fantastic. Especially with crane stands now, you can have all 4 Celestials. Mistweavers will just get 2 of them, but that's okay.
We'll let you guys have something. You guys
Right.
can't be Brewmaster, so
Right.
it's okay.
And it's too bad.
but I like that idea of the Celestial Guardian changing if you're a tank to the Ox
Ox.
instead of Zuyan.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree it's purely cosmetic and it's not in their priority list, but I believe it should happen just because it's awesome, you know.
Right.
I'm sure it'll be one of these days. I'm sure, like maybe even next expansion when they have a little more time than them trying to like redo the entire game basically with all the
Or
stuff.
even a
they-
mini patch when they're bored during WoD, who knows.
Right.
We're getting Blood Elves later, so why not this?
Right.
You know, they've been talking about like the for hunters getting the quiver and the belt pouches, and paladins getting the librams and
Librams.
stuff. I think this would be a perfect thing for the monks to get
Right.
during that time, just so we
Yeah.
get something.
I want a keg,
Yeah, don't we?
Like,
don't
you
we
can
get
get the
something
keg,
like
can't you?
that?
not
We
one that
get
stays
kegs on our
forever.
belt or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they were
just give
talking
me a
about
keg.
kegs on the belt, yeah. Yeah, I would love to see the statues change, and I would love to see... Well, the statues do kind of change, but I'd like...
The Zuen.
Yeah, I like a Zuen statue and a crane statue. And also, I would love to have like Yulon come out instead of Zuen for Mistweavers, and that'd be really cool. But we'll see. That'd be kind of cool. So new beta patch came out. So let's talk a little bit about Windwalker. Not very much, but they're still
It's your time to
making
shine.
right. They're still making Fists of Fury our signature move. They added a new glyph called Flying Fists. It will increase the range of Fists of Fury by 5 yards. So that'll help us.
EVP set bonus. There you go.
Right.
Have it for glyph.
Exactly. And that was pretty much it. Now, Windwalkers, don't freak out. If you probably looked at the MMO champion forums, like I did, and went, what the... whole bunch of tooltip corrections and a little bit of bad data mining in there. There were no nerfs at all. They were just tooltip corrections. And so it looked psychotic. It looked like all of our abilities got nerfed by about 300%. And we were... Like, Twitter that morning was just completely exploded. And then Celestion's like, yeah, simmered down. We're like, oh, okay, sorry. I'll just delete my tweets then. Sorry. My bad. Mistweavers. All right. Now, Yuki, you want to go over Mistweaver changes?
Yep. We got a new talent called Pool of Mists. This one replaced the Path of the Mists, I believe.
Yes.
This one grants 3 charges of Renewing Mist and 3 charges of Rising Sun Kick. So this is awesome for when you're fist weaving and then you switch over to the other stance and you want 3 charges of renewing mist right away. Bam, bam, bam. There you have it. As far as charges, if you're confused about it, it's the same way that roll works, where we have 2 to 3 charges of roll, and then each has its own cooldown, but a total of a certain amount of time.
Right.
So I think these are a 6-second cooldown, but in total it should be 24 or 8-second cooldown, and in total should be 24 seconds or something like that.
Right. To get all
I
3
forgot
back.
how long the cooldown was.
Yeah, I really like this change because that's the kind of Mistweaver I'm going to be, is swapping back and forth, stance dancing. And so if it's, you'll have to know the fight, because Chi Explosion is still going to be extremely powerful, and you have to give up Chi Explosion to do this. But if it's a fight where you're bouncing back and forth between stances, especially if, big AoE damage goes out, you're allowed to pop. I think I did the math, and you can get up to like nearly 20 renewing mists in a single cycle if you get lucky with your multi-strikes. And so that allows you to get some big AoE heals out there quickly. And so that's really nice. But if you are staying in Mistweaver the whole time, this is a useless talent. It gives you 2 extra renewing mists for the entire duration of the fight, which is nowhere close to being as valuable as Chi Explosion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On top of that, Path of the Mist, it really didn't attract me as much. I mean, to me, it felt more PvP-ish, I guess. Like, you drop some balls, turn around, run back through them because they're getting rid of healing spheres. Path of the Mist to me was strictly PvP, and I would select Detonate Chi, and whether I was stance switching or just strictly Mistweaver. So
yeah, I
this is a good change.
I could see Path of Mists being useful because there was no limit to the number of spheres you could really do. And so, like, in small times of small damage, you can just be running around the raid like a chicken with your head cut off. And then as soon as big damage goes out, you detonate Chi, and boom, everyone gets healed back to full. So it had its place, but it was a weird kind of playstyle change, and so I kind of like this.
But you couldn't have both, though. It was either Path of the Mist or Detonate Chi.
No, Chi Explosion is different than Detonate Chi. Detonate Chi is available to all all Mistweavers. Chi Explosion is the one that uses Chi, variable amounts of Chi. So Detonate Chi, they actually buffed in this last patch as well. It used to be 50% of the healing spheres effect would happen. Now it's 100%. So, hey, we have a use for mastery now. Look at that.
Yay, mastery.
Yeah, I can actually see a mastery build. This actually opens up some different builds that were not possible in 5.4. So,
and this is why Mistweavers are going to be so interesting. Sorry to cut you off, Ty.
No.
But Mistweavers are going to be interesting because of the fact of Detonate Chi being buffed this much, and how you're going to spec into mastery, whether you're being strictly Mistweaver or you might switch your stats around because you're stance weaving, pretty much. Just like how Brewmasters do now. Whether you want survival, you go mastery, or you want a DPS build, you go crit. Same way with Mistweavers in the next expansion. If you want a lot of power from your Detonate Chi, you're going to go mastery. If not, you're going to go crit for fist weaving.
Right, and don't forget multi-strike. Multi-strike has a huge benefit, and yeah, this makes the Mistweaver playstyle extremely interesting because each fight can be different gear, and now that you're geared, you don't have to mess with reforging and regemming and re-enchanting everything. You can. It'll be like the old days where you've got like 3 or 4 different sets of gear that you can swap between very easily. And if you're dual specking and you've got what was it? If you're dual specking and you've got Windwalker or Brewmaster, then the gear you get there will translate into Mistweaver as well, so you'll have all these different options. So each fight you can say, well, all right, this fight I'm going to be staying as Mistweaver the whole time, so I'm going to be focusing on either Mastery, Multi-Strike, and haste maybe for my renewing mist if you're going a renewing mist build. And so there's just all these different kinds of builds you can do, which is really fun. Now there was...
Are they getting rid of bonus rolls for like specs? You know, like,
No.
oh, I want to roll for Brewmaster, so it's going to give me Brewmaster gear, but I'll see it as
Don't see
Mistweaver gear.
why
No,
they would, there's still
because-
trinkets and
yeah.
accessories and stuff, so
Yeah,
there's no
trinkets
reason to
and
get rid of
accessories.
that.
Yep.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the gear doesn't matter which one you got. You'll get it, which is nice. It'd be nice if you could focus in on like, all right, I'm Mistweaver, so I'm going to want multi-strike gear, and it won't give me the other stuff. But I don't think it's going to do that. So it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Mistweavers. However, we did
No,
get
it was-
one nerf. Uplift has had diminishing returns added for targets over 6. Which, yeah, I
Or
was...
does it let them be balanced? Because right now, if you listen about any Mistweaver that's in the beta right now, Uplift is da poop, and nobody uses it. Like, people are like, this is off my bars, it doesn't do enough, but now can they make it actually good?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll buff it enough where for 6 players it'll actually do a good, decent amount so you can actually figure out and target what you want to do. But like I
Yes.
said, it had to be kind of nerfed this way because of the changes they made with multi-strike having a no cooldown and this charges of renewing mist. Because like I said, if you got lucky with your multi-strike, if you stacked multi-strike a lot, you could potentially get over 20 people in 8 seconds covered.
The problem with stacking multi-strike is if you do that and you have renewing mist on 20 plus players, you're pretty much hitting like a feather.
Right.
Correct.
Well, yeah, if you're stacking multi-strike, like, that's it. Yeah, you're not going to be hit very hard. But, well, your renewing mist will multi-strike, which is nice. But, yeah, it's not going to be as effective, but it allows you to spread that AoE. It's another build you can do, is to have a constant slow-ticking hot, because renewing mist wasn't diminishing returned. It was uplift. So they wanted to make sure that you can't take 20 people in 8 seconds and bam, hit uplift for a crazy amount and just do insane AoE. They had to nerf us a little bit there.
Kind of like 5.0 when we first came out.
Right,
And it was
jab,
like,
jab,
oh, look
uplift.
at my uplift. First
Right.
week was spinning crane kick to victory, and second week was, and from then on until 5.2 was jab, jab, uplift. Oh, look, I heal more than everybody.
Right. So they're trying to make it balanced. But yes, I agree that they do need to bump up uplift for 6 players, and I'm sure they
Remember
will in those passes.
Revival?
Oh
Revival
man,
was
Revival
awesome.
was awesome back in the day. It's still great for certain fights.
10% to 100%. Yay, I win at healing.
Indeed.
And I was AFK 90% of the time. Yes.
Right. I treat Revival more now like a mass dispel than I do a heal. So
Sometimes I treat it as a heal just to help out, you know,
Right.
like Garage or something.
yeah, every so often. So there was a change to Brewmaster apparently.
Yeah, as
minute
of
catch.
something like 47 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Duke got it in there. It looks like they've actually added the dodge percent to 45%, which was 35 before with the perk, and it goes up to 45 stacks. That's 45 seconds of constant, dodge increase.
And it's your auto attack critical strikes. Grant 45
Yeah, this
stacks
is-
of elusive. Jeez.
If this isn't faulty
Wow.
data mining again,
Right.
this is has to be a response to them trying to make crit worth something. Because right now, as it is, currently crit is good because it does damage and gives a defensive bonus to a point, but it's still a lot of good damage, and mastery isn't strictly necessary. It's a pure tanky stat. In Warlords, mastery is now a DPS and tanky stat, and crit is a DPS and kind of tanky stat, but not a guaranteed tanky stat. And it was kind of falling by the wayside, and we'll obviously get into that a little bit more later. But I think if this is accurate and it's not, again, faulty data mining, I see
Yeah.
this as that's what that's pushing towards.
Well, since this wasn't a number change in terms of like the formula, I think this actually is a valid change, but we'll have to see. But yeah, they just pushed a new beta patch, didn't they? Like today.
Yeah.
So okay.
They've been working on it all day.
So in the most recent build, we mentioned before the changes to the perks. So they've pared back perks quite substantially. Now instead of receiving one every 9 levels, they decided some of these were kind of boring. Some of them just weren't very exciting, so it wasn't as fun to see the perks come up. So now they're going to give you 4. They're going to give you one at 92, 94, 96, 98. They're cutting bad ones, keeping some good ones, and baking in the boring ones. So all specs of Monk are going to get Roll and Transcendence. So Roll is going to make you travel the same amount 25% faster. Transcendence is going to decrease the cooldown of Transcendence by 35 seconds and make your Transcendence transfer instant, which I've played with that, and that is really fun and really nice. I like that a lot. Mistweaver is going to get Life Cocoon, which I think lowers the cooldown, if I recall correctly. And Renewing Mist will increase the timer.
The hot by 2 seconds.
Right, so it's going to be 8 second hot now, I think. I believe.
It's 8-second cooldown, 20-second duration.
Oh, that's right.
What you're trying to say?
Yeah. There's going to be 20-second duration now. Brewmaster is going to get Breath of Fire, which will make it so your target will always get the magic debuff.
The magic dot.
The dot part of it,
the dot
which
part
is
of it.
like half of its damage.
Right.
So, yeah.
And Guard is going to give you a double charge of Guard, which I think that is one of the more interesting changes.
That's a cool little one.
That has a playstyle change, which is really nice. So Windwalker is going to get improved Chi, which is just going to give you a baseline Chi of 5 instead of 4, which allows Ascension to take up to 6. So when you do Chi Explosion with 6, that will set a power plant on fire. That's what happened in Irvine. Sorry about that. And Spinning Crane Kick will reduce the cast time by 50%, but allows you to do double the damage. So essentially you're doing the same amount of damage in half the time. Which is nice. So what they're starting to do, they have only done this with Brewmaster so far, though this may have changed in this most recent patch that just came up, was they're baking in some of those old perks into the stances. So Brewmaster got 3 of them already done, and it looks like Elusive Brew actually got buffed more in this one. So LeBlue, what did they do so far?
All right, so far we've got Dizzying Haze now has no energy cost, but no longer causes the melee attacks to misfire. Can I have this now? The energy cost thing is fantastic. The second one is the Elusive Brew now increases dodge chance by 35%, which with the new Wowhead build apparently 45%. So, yay! Bigger buffs. And then finally, Stance of the Sturdy Ox now increases stamina by 40%, up from 20%, which is fantastic. With this, maybe I too can one day reach 1 million hit points at 585 item level without Stam Flask. One day.
One day.
Till then, though. Till then. So, but yeah, just very, very passive changes and stuff. I mean, as exciting as it was to see the perk scroll go by and go, you have 20% more blackout kick damage. It's like, meh, but the baking in thing, I understand. Now I'm just waiting for the waves of, but I want something at 91 and 93 and blah, 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 because we want to feel special every time we get a level.
Right.
So we'll see how that...
It wasn't... Like, even leveling up now as a monk, you don't get something every single level. It's every, 3 or 4 anyway, so...
Yeah, most of the stuff was so, passive, you didn't actually notice it. It's like, oh, look, I have another 20% stacked onto my thing for when I'm leveling. Now that mob really can't kill me.
Right.
In all my Siege of Orgrimmar heroic gear. Good luck, mob. I'm going to go eat a sandwich and I'll come back.
They should just, get Chris Metzen to go, you leveled up, you're awesome, every time you level up. It's right in your ear.
Just play the everything is awesome
you get it
song
every level.
every time.
Don't make it like
level.
the South Park episode with Rock Band. When you reach level 100, he says, "You suck." It just goes away.
Be like, maybe you should have rolled Horde. No.
No.
All right. Let's see. Dojo is saying video is stuck. Is it stuck for everybody?
I can see video going.
You're seeing
I
video
can
going?
see video still going.
Okay.
Videos. Yeah.
Sorry, those who are stuck. Reload. Sorry.
It's probably because of how Twitch works. Higher traffic streams, they're going to get more uninterrupted. Smaller streams like this one or private streams are going to
Hey, what are you saying?
for a little bit.
What are you saying?
So Sorry.
Hey, we have 17 people. That's a great number.
Yeah.
One sec. I'm pulling out my inner Canadian. Sorry.
There
There you go.
Whoa.
See, I love Duke's suggestion. Welcome to level 93. I love you.
Thank you for subscribing still to our game.
Right.
Thank you.
Each level something different. One time you're awesome. One time he loves you. The other time is we can be friends, right?
Right.
Oh, just give you those Valentine hearts. Here you go. Just random.
All right, students, it's time now to meditate and expand our knowledge in
Transcendence.
Today we're going to be talking about Brewmaster stats in Warlords of Draenor. So we're going to go over each stat. We're not going to tell you, oh, versatility is better than crit here, because we don't know the final numbers. Well, yes, versatility is better in crit, but we don't know the final numbers yet, so we're going to avoid those types of things. But we're going to tell you what it does and how it's useful, how it actually interacts with this spec. So let's start out with the new one, versatility.
Well, I'll go first because I'm a big proponent of versatility. I'm really looking forward to building kind of a versatility build. Now, with versatility, you kind of get a little bit of everything. You get a little bit of DPS, you get a little bit of damage reduction, and healing as well. So it's kind of like an overall stat. So I think it's almost like could be considered a safe stat to pick up, and as a Brewmaster, because what do? You want to stay alive, so you can heal yourself better and you take less damage, and then you kind of want to deal damage. And so it's right there as well. So I'm very excited to try this out to the point where I'm, depending on how it works out and when we look at things, I may have a human monk on my Alliance tune.
Because that gets the versatility buff, yeah.
To get the versatility buff.
But not a panda. You're doing it wrong.
I have a panda now, so it's a maybe. I do have I'm going to have a level 90 boost still, so it might be human to go with my panda. They can be friends.
So one thing to point out about versatility, though, is that this is the only stat you can stack that reduces magic damage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And other than taking the talent, was it the Soul Dance?
Yeah.
It'll be the best way for us to get rid of magic damage.
Yeah,
I think,
high damage fights is where you want to swap in your versatility gear, which is good.
Yes.
All right.
But keep in mind with versatility, though, that currently as it's set out, if you're looking at only one aspect of it, i.e. the damage reduction, especially the damage reduction, but the healing or the DPS portion of it is per point, it is lower than the other stats currently because it's versatile. It does everything. So we're going to have to kind of see how many pieces actually have it. And then how much do we actually get versus our other stats. Like, it's going to be the guaranteed try and true, this will work for everything. It's just going to kind of be how much of this gear can we get a hold of and how worth it will it be. I mean, there are versatility flasks and stuff in chance. So
yeah,
I'm kind of see how we get.
This is one of the biggest changes I've seen in the beta so far is that all the flasks and enchants are all secondary stat based. And there's
I like
you
that,
can have more than one.
Because then it's you can it's different things to try.
Yeah.
I also was reading something where it said how versatility and resolve will work well together because resolve will increase our healing absorption done to ourselves. So it's almost like you're stacking self-healing if you do it that way.
Right. And if I recall correctly with the interaction with versatility is that your shuffle damage, you still get the full benefit of shuffle, and then versatility kicks in to reduce that. So you still get the full shuffle amount, even though you're reducing damage by versatility, which is pretty cool.
Right. That would be double dipping if it did affect the shuffle ticks, the stagger ticks.
Right.
So it's because if it affected both, it'd be really good. But
right. But what I'm saying is,
good.
like, if you take 100 damage, you get the 30% as shuffle. So you get 30 as a
40%
dot. Okay, whatever. 40 is a dot. Yeah. With versatility, you would still get 40 as the dot, and then... Or wait, no. Never mind. I don't know. I'm not a Brewmaster.
I think you're trying to describe double dipping now.
Yes.
So what he's trying to say is the damage is mitigated. So we'll say you have 1% versatility, 1% damage reduction from versatility is now 99, and I'm not going to do math because F you math, and we're going to still say it's 40. But your dot ticks are still going to be the same, but the initial damage before the stagger was reduced, so you'll actually take less damage from stagger, but it won't reduce the stagger damage itself.
Right.
Because that'd be double dipping, and they don't like double dipping, and they seek out double dipping and destroy it because Blizzard doesn't like fun.
All
And
right,
they like to be clean. No one likes to double dip. It's dirty.
All right, let's move on to multi-strike. Now, this is the Windwalker and Mistweaver's best friend, but how does it affect Brewmasters?
All right, I'll go first on this one then. So multi-strike is like a more interesting form of crit, if you ask me. We're not going to get an immediate benefit from it, or we can choose to not have as immediate a benefit because what it does is it creates Gift of the Ox orbs. Now, the cool thing about this is if you don't need the extra damage reduction because the damage you're taking is not that bad, mostly magic damage or whatnot, you might opt for more healing, which is what this stat's more geared towards. So kind of like nowadays, you'll see a lot of times Brewmasters will have pools of orbs next to them. This stat allows you to create those pools more quickly than you probably do currently. Keeping in mind, of course, that right now the self-healing of a tank has been greatly reduced intentionally from what it is now. So the ability to stack up a large pile of these orbs, which are now smarter and won't just eat the entire pile when you step into them, but will eat what you need, could be a great benefit if it turns out to be a fairly strong stat in that merit. Now, if you prefer a little less self-healing and more actual mitigation, this won't quite be the stat for you. But I would recommend having at least a little bit so that you're able to pool those orbs for that emergency heal, or even to help your healers keep up with it. Adam?
Kind of looking at the multi-strike, I agree with you 100%. I think multi-strike and versatility might be a good two-stat kind of working together type of a thing, as you're kind of getting more orbs, and your orbs are going to heal you for more with the versatility. So I think it might be one of like a pairing of stats, maybe a mix between the two, is kind of what I'm looking to try out. That kind of what interests me the most in terms of stats, because other than that, you have your regular crit and stuff. But I think that's what I'm going to be looking at. If that makes sense, kind of that pair.
All right, let's take a look at bonus armor, another new one that came up, and this one I believe is going to be very heavily valued by Brewmasters and pretty much all tanks, because that's kind of what it's there for.
That's what they've said. They've been saying that since I think BlizzCon, if I remember correctly, that this is going to be the tank stat, but you will see it on trinkets and accessories. You won't see this on like a chest piece or legs. You will see this on your trinkets and accessories. This is supposed to be the big stat for us, especially as Brewmasters. You might have noticed this little fight on protectors, the softfoot. The one tank you can usually toss it on and not worry about when the anguish comes out is that tank debuff, because we have so little armor. But the less armor you have, the more each point of armor becomes beneficial, as well as they've added a offensive value to this stat. So long as it's tuned well, it'll actually be an incredibly valuable stat for us, and we'll probably seek it on every single piece that we can get a hold of it on. Yeah. But that's really... I lament that I have never been able to get a hold of bonus armor on the beta. The few times I've seen it in like a dungeon run or something, it's been like taken from me by like a rogue or a warrior. I'm like, what? So, sad panda.
It's basically our spirit. It's we're gonna stack whenever we get it.
It's agility 2.0.
And to a point where it doesn't hurt us. I'm sure there'll be like a break point in which
the armor cap is. I think they said at some point, don't quote me on this, but I'm 90% certain at some point they said that the armor cap won't be even remotely reachable until like the very end of the expansion by like bear druids, and even then they probably won't reach it. So there shouldn't be a cap to worry about through this expansion for Brewmasters especially.
And what's really nice is gone are the days of Brewmasters taking the Windwalker trinkets from us. You guys will be focusing on the tanking trinkets.
So you think?
Yes. Well, hopefully you'll leave some of them alone. That'll be nice.
Well, it also gives us the attack power, so we get attack power from it as well.
Right.
Right.
That's how they try to keep us away from the Windwalker ones. Like, hey, you guys get attack power. Here, take it.
So, are there going to be any changes to mastery in how Brewmasters play?
You go ahead and first, Adam.
I'm trying to think. Is there?
Oh,
I don't think there was.
The only change is you get attack power from it.
Yeah.
Attack power buff. That is to bring it in line with our other stuff, because right now I've mentioned this earlier. Right now we value crit over mastery because we don't actually need the mastery to survive, like literally the only fight this expansion that I've seriously stacked mastery outside of, I flat out don't trust my healers, which I don't still, sorry healers, is Paragons of the Claxley towards the very end, because Kalraz and Kilrook hit like freight trains on rocket jets. But the rest of the fights don't actually need that much mastery. I completely forsaked it for everything for Garrosh, but so it's, the defensive value is great, but there was no offensive value. Now you give it an offensive value, and it becomes a much more valuable stat overall, as well as being balanced. If you notice, every stat has a defensive benefit and an offensive benefit. And this has been incredibly important to balance the stats, because you can't truly balance them if they don't both have some sort of benefit. It doesn't have to be exactly the same kind of benefit, like Multi-Strike is more of a healing benefit, Crit is a dodge avoidance benefit, and Mastery is a mitigation benefit. So you get different benefits depending how you kind of want to gear, and there'll be math to say this is the best and you should always take this, but they all offer something unique.
Right. All right, let's talk crit.
I mean, it sits kind of where it sits now in terms of, gets us those stacks of Elusive Brew.
Which has been buffed like crazy.
Which has been buffed like crazy. So like LeBlue was kind of hinting at earlier, it's now strengthened the defensive ability of crit. So I think he has something to say. I think he's itching right there.
So crit went from probably being our most preferable stat because of its DPS bonus benefits and still having defensive to, it's in my mind right now, I don't like crit. Part of it is because of All Hail Our Lord and Savior Chi Brew, because it gives you the elusive brew stacks. We only need, and in a tank swap fight, we only need that Chi Brew, the elusive brew, when we're actually tanking the boss. After that, it's completely irrelevant. It doesn't do anything for us outside like Saber Lash mechanics or whatnot. And we're seeing some of that kind of stuff in the new raids, but anytime there's a tank swap, whenever you're tanking the boss and you hit cap on elusive brew, it's useless. You're wasting crit effectively for a little bit of damage, but the damage thing isn't as big a factor anymore because now everything gives you some form of damage. Versatility gives you damage, Mastery gives you damage, Multi-Strike gives you damage, Haste even gives you damage in its own way, but Haste is a different ball of wax. But just like right now, for me, crit's falling off because it's RNG free to crit, so it's RNG to produce elusive brew, and then once you produce it and you use it, it's still RNG for it to actually reduce anything. So it can technically still fail. Whereas all of your other defensive stats, they still give you that offensive bonus, but they won't fail. You know it will work. Crit might not work. And that's kind of where it falls off for me.
Okay. I'm going to pause the conversation right now, LeBlue. I'm going to hang up and call you back. Your video has gone to crap. So
Rest in Pepperoni is my video.
Kidding. All right, be right back.
Okay.
Technical difficulties. All right, let's try this again.
Damn you, Duke.
You made you
and
laugh
now it's
your
doing
ass
something
off,
funny, isn't it?
I had to hide under the camera just in case,
All right. 1 sec. I'm fixing. Am I good? Am I good now?
You are still blurry as all get out.
I don't know.
Your audio's better.
I'm going to blame Twitch.
How you blaming Twitch on this
too?
one?
And Skype is pretty bad.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, but
It's starting to clear up a little bit.
Yeah, your audio's better. It's starting to clear up. Just don't wave your hands too much because then it freaks out.
Okay. I'm sorry. I talk with my hands.
I know you do. I know.
Sorry.
Okay, and we will pick up in 3. All right, and let's talk about that wonderful stat you just mentioned, haste.
All right. Do you want to go first, Guanshu, before I go on my spiel about this too?
Well, I mean, I think I'm very, I don't think haste changes much. Right now, you get it to, I let it get to whatever it gets to from my stats, and then I'm happy with it. It's just almost a moot point for me. I might be doing it wrong, but I've never noticed like a serious like increase in my survivability from it right now, and I don't see it in the future.
Okay. So from my point of view, right now, as currently stands in tier, 16? Yes, tier 16, I purify when I hit roughly 200% of my hit points in stagger. So that's about 2 million damage plus of stagger. That's when I purify right now. My value for haste is basically nil. I don't want haste. I avoid it actively on gear. Within the very first build of the beta, like I'm talking when Slag Mines was the only dungeon available, the very first thing I noticed is I was purifying more. Purifying more means that now I want more haste because I need to keep up shuffle. While we do have our Chi Brew Overlord to keep us safe and happy, it's still actually pretty impressive how, because of the decrease in our own self-healing skills, it's now more valuable to actually get rid of that the stagger damage that we have, because that stagger damage is going to now tick more, it's going to tick bigger, and we can't cover it up as easily. And the healer's throughput being knocked down a bit also makes it actually a bit more dangerous damage, to where you want to purify a yellow stagger. You want to purify that high green stagger instead of just letting it tick, because it's like, oh, whatever, the healer's renew tick will hit me for 25% of my health anyway, and that's more than my stagger. So it's in my opinion, it's actually gained quite a bit of value from what it has now, where it's basically a dead stat outside of challenge modes.
So you're saying first tier is going to be haste is not going to be completely useless?
Okay, so if they do it right, like why they did the hit point, like getting our hit points like to still siege levels, even though we're starting the first tier, if they do it right, haste should remain about constant value through the tier or through the expansion. Like we should still want haste because it allows us to purify more often. If they do it wrong and our self-healing or healers outscale how much damage we take, then haste will once again fall to where its current value is, which is garbage. So it's actually really interesting how much potential this stat actually has versus what it is now. I'm actually really excited to see where haste ends up for Mythic testing, and then when we have Mythic live as well.
Yeah, I would ask you if Ascension had any sort of playstyle, but I know that would be
Ascension's dead.
Yeah,
Ascension is dead. I'm sorry. We get away with it now because reasons. I mean, right now Chi Brew is so good. There's absolutely no reason not to take it. If you really, really want, put it this way: Power Strikes is effectively double the effectiveness of Ascension. Ascension gets a lot of its value from sub 35% expel harms. Expel harm hits like a freaking wet noodle right now because of how they've changed self-healing. That value just went down the drain. Power Strikes gives you a chi, which can be used for something. Ascension, it's not nearly as valuable. It's effectively a dead talent for Brewmasters, unless Chi Brew legitimately gets knocked down a few pegs, or the others brought up to it. But it's just too strong right now.
All right, I think we've hit all the secondary stats. I can't remember if there's any more.
No, I think we hit them all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's your stats, and as we get closer to release and we get into the actual PTR and gold release, we should be able to let you know what the stat priorities are, thanks to wonderful theory crafters out there. So let's see. Any questions in the dojo? If not, we're just going to skip over Zen Pilgrimage, but we'll go ahead and head on in there. So it's time now to travel to the Peak of Serenity, the home of all monks in
Zen Pilgrimage.
Monks, assemble!
All right. So are there any blogs or projects you guys saw over the last couple weeks that you guys want to point out?
I've been a bad panda, and I've not been on the internet as much as I need to be. I apologize.
YouTube for me, sorry. Yeah. PvP videos.
Pepperonis.
Which PvP channel were you watching?
I'd have to check on my phone, actually, because you know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was hurt.
So I want to point out that what I'm trying to do, and hopefully I think there's a MooBot out there on Twitch is going to allow you to do this, but the twitch.tv/wildmonk that we stream on here, what I'm trying to do is throughout the week, whenever I see someone streaming, you can now host a channel. So I can host, like I was hosting Dragon User 55, LeBlue over there, when he was tanking Heroic Garage, and so I would host the channel, so it'll show up. So I'm trying to do that more and more often. Whenever I see someone streaming, I'll throw it on there. So always feel free to stop by twitch.tv/wildmonk, see if anyone's being hosted, and stay in the dojo, chat with people, and see how it's going. Eventually, this should get more automated, so we should be able to actually see it more often, which would be good. All right, did you find it now, Yuki, who you were watching? Nope.
No, I have so many that I just like.
Yeah.
It's between PvP videos and aquariums and whatnot. And it's like,
Right.
okay, web design stuff. It's all mixed in.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Web design. Is that what you call it?
So I know Del Ritha is going to be streaming the next couple days of the beta testing as well. So yeah, with the beta testing coming out on was it Wednesday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Wednesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, keep in touch with all the monks out there. See how they're doing in the raid testing. That'll be good. All right. I don't see any questions in the dojo, so we'll go ahead and put my brew away. But first,
Sad.
let's go see those awesome 5-star reviews. Now, Yuki, which we got?
Monk Eargasm by Slobber Grabber.
Slobber Grabber.
He says, I am a relatively new Mistweaver and Windwalker monk. This is a great listen and helpful podcast for all things monkage. Great host with an awesome cast and a good sense of humor, very important. I even had a member take time out of their busy schedule to help me out in game. Genius.
Monk genius indeed. All right, well, please rate us on iTunes or a Stitcher, subscribe on YouTube or on twitch.tv. All right, I want to give a shout out to the Converted podcast. Air was on there discussing heroic rating. It was a wonderful show. I listened to the whole thing. It was fantastic. So tune in to hear Air talk with Sal, Belschnickel, and
Navox.
Navox, is that his name?
Yes.
Okay. Also, a shout out to Root and Freckleface from Hearthcast, the WoW podcast for the casual player. I'll be on their next episode doing WoW trivia against Root. So you can catch them and tune into the Epic Showdown. You can catch them on iTunes or at hearthcast.com. Now, Yuki, got any shout-outs?
Yep, shout out to my raid team, Edamame Enterprise, as always. They're an awesome team to raid with. Shout out to the dojo for coming through and watching the show. Shout out to all the listeners out there that take their time to download the show and listen. And listen to us make believe like we know what we're talking about. For the monks that are going to BlizzCon and have a monk meetup, I want to thank them because they're going to get me a shirt. And yes, and we're going to finally meet up. So it's really cool to meet up with people that play the same game that I do and have the same interest. And shout out to Blizzard for please give me a tri-spec, because Mistweaver's my main, but I really don't know if I want Brewmaster or Windwalker as my off-spec. Just give me all three and I'll be happy. Please. Just please. The only people that'll be mad is Druids because they have 4.
Right.
That's it.
All right, LeBlue, you got any shout-outs?
Yeah, obviously to my guild, Premeditated. Congrats again, guys, on our Garrosh kill and
Well
finally
done on
farmed.
14 of 14.
Now with no other difficulties for us to bump up to, and less than 500 pulls this time. Go us! Big shout out to Mudala and his wife. Happy belated birthday to her. He actually approached me while I was doing an alt run the other week to see about buying a CM carry for his wife's birthday, and we were able to get that for her, and she's now running around happily in challenge mode gear. So yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Guanshu.
This week I'd like a shout out to Triumphy, actually. Me and him, we've been playing Heroes of the Storm for 3-4 months now, and I just found out that he plays a monk in WoW, which is kind of odd. He actually brought up to me, he's like, "You're on monk meditation now." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I've been listening to it for a while, and I just realized it was you." I'm like, "Well, it's only been a couple, 2 months at this point." And he actually PvP monk, so I'm like, "Man, if I'm gonna PvP, I'm gonna get get him around so I can learn how to actually do it right. So big shout out to Triumphy.
All right. And
Which spec?
He Windwalker specs.
Oh, okay.
Gross.
All right, and as part of the Monk community, if you have a blog, website, or a person you want to see in the show, please reach out to us via email at show@monkmeditation.com. The Monk community is the best one in the world of Warcraft. We want to showcase it. LeBlue, how can the dojo best reach us?
You can follow the show at Monk Meditation, or Monk_meditation. Follow Chai T at Wow Monk. You can follow Naoyuki at Naoyuki_CTR. You can follow Air at Airwalker. You can follow Daikatsu at Daikatsu CTR. You can follow Guanshu at Geek of Random. And Chai forgot me, but I'll plug myself anyway. You can follow me at KaguraI_LeBlue.
Your reading comprehension ain't there, because it's right there.
I found the page below it. Leave me alone.
All right,
It
thank
ended.
you. Thank you all for listening. You can watch us live Monday, August 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 100 UTC at twitch.tv/VowMonk, or visit monkmeditation.com for links to all the ways to watch and listen to the show. And actually, I'm going to correct that. We will have our next show possibly Monday, August 18th. So keep an eye on the Monk Meditation Twitter handle, Monk_meditation, to know when we go live. Monk Meditation is part of Catalyst Gaming Media. For other great gaming blogs, podcasts, and events, visit catalystgamingmedia.com. That wraps up this episode of Monk Meditation.
May your brews be strong and your heart